What's on, guys? J-Hoyd back with you today. Welcome back to Call of Duty Vanguard. We are back here with the recap video for CDL Major number 2 from Minnesota. And oh boy, do we call it an upset. And this weekend was crazy. A lot of upsets, a lot of teams doing a lot of crazy things. And of course, we'll cover all of it here upcoming. So, let's start with it though. Round number 1, winners bracket, OpTic, Texas versus the Seattle Surge. I know it's not in order of what the actual show went, but we'll go with it like this. Anyway, OpTic coming off from Major 1 champs. They won every single match. They made it to the grand finals. They beat Faze on an absolute high, looking absolutely dominant. They placed what? First in, was it first? Yeah, first in standings going for qualifiers. Then they get 3-0 swept in the first round versus Seattle. Not how you wanted to start the tournament if you're OpTic, plain and simple. But Seattle though came out, you know, kind of questionable veto decisions, if you ask me. I know Seattle and another team like even Florida is really good at Bocage, and yet we played them on it. So like I don't know why, but maybe they had a better feeling, more insight than I did. Obviously, they definitely do. But Seattle wins this one 3-0. They move on to the second round. This one. Match number 2, I should say. Atlanta Faze versus the New York Subliners. Faze handle business. 3-0. Moving on to the second round to set up a very highly contested matchup with the Seattle Surge there in that second round. But down to match number 3. Florida Mutineers versus the London Royal Ravens. Royal Ravens finished what? Second or third? Something like that in the qualifiers. Florida 3-0 upset sweep, whatever you want to call it. Florida moves on to that second round. They move on to face the winner of Boston Breach and LA Gorillas. I don't know if I'd call it an upset, but Breach do win this one 3-0. We had 4 3-0s in the first round of the winners bracket. That's insane to see. 4 3-0s in the first round. That's just absolutely incredible. So round 2 of the winners bracket will be Seattle Surge, Atlanta Faze, second matchup Florida Mutineers and Boston Breach. But that was Friday or Thursday, I think it was. Down in the losers bracket, or elimination bracket. First round we had OpTic Texas versus the Minnesota Rocker. And like you guys remember, it's the Minnesota Rocker Major 2 tournament. OpTic, though, has one of the biggest fan bases, but they're in Minnesota. Where was the crowd's loyalty there? It was hard. But OpTic does win this one 3-1. They move on to the second round. Second matchup, though, elimination bracket round 1, we had the New York Subliners versus the LA Thieves. Now, we know New York had a bit of a struggle, but they've been looking good since they picked up Paul X. LA Thieves just haven't gotten it together this stage, or this, whatever you want to call it, stage 2 here, Major 2, Qualifier 2, whatever you want to call it. LA Thieves just haven't put it together this stage. But they do win against the New York Subliners. I believe this was a reverse sweep, if I remember correctly. I didn't get the chance to watch much of the matches, unfortunately. But we had a pretty good weekend here, as it definitely well shows, as LA takes the Game 5 victory. They move on to face off against OpTic, and we have a couple more teams to get there as well. So, third matchup. Elimination bracket, round 1, London versus Paris. This one, not really surprised. The only thing I'm surprised about that it wasn't a 3-0. London do walk away with the 3-1 victory. And London will move on to face off against our next match's winner. LA Gorillas versus the Toronto Ultra. Ultra, another team, just like the LA Thieves, that just haven't gotten it going recently. And I don't know why. I truly don't understand why. But LA Guerrillas, though, do get the better of them in this one, do get the 3-1 victory, and they move on to face off against London. So we have 4 teams out of the tournament. We have the Minnesota Rocker, New York Subliners, Paris Legion, and Toronto Ultra. Those 4 teams, thanks for coming. We'll see you at the next one. But that leaves OpTic versus LA Thieves and London versus the LA Guerrillas in round 2 of our losers bracket. So what happened here? Well, OpTic lose the first 2 matches, or maps I should say, versus the LA Thieves. They come back for 3 straight in the reverse sweep fashion. This is actually one of the only matches I got to watch all weekend long. OpTic does win this one in the game 5. They come back, complete the reverse sweep, and they move on to the next matchup, round number 3 in the elimination bracket. Our second matchup, London Royal Ravens versus the LA Guerrillas. If you ask me, it would have been London. If you would have asked LA, it's going to be LA. LA Guerrillas walk away with the 3-0 fashion, and they move on. They continue the losers bracket run, but we need to know some more losers in order to know these guys' next matchup. So we have Seattle Surge versus Atlanta Faze in round number 2 in the winners bracket. Surge, Faze. It's always a good matchup. Who remembers from last year? What was it? Stage 5, I believe, where Seattle knocked them out of the tournament. Unfortunately, Faze does get their revenge. Game 5 victory. Faze walks away with this one, advances to the winners finals, awaiting our next matchup's winner. Florida Mutineers and Boston Breach. Another Game 5 victory, Boston Breach, which is really surprising because I've never really been high on this Boston team. Like I said before the year, I don't see this team being good, but hey, they move on. They beat LA Guerrillas. They beat Florida. Can they get past Faze, though, in the winners bracket final? We'll have to wait and see. But our next matchups, jumping back down to elimination bracket round 3. We have the Florida Mutineers, fresh off a loss against Boston, versus OpTic Texas. And then we have the Seattle Surge, fresh off their loss, versus Faze, versus the LA Guerrillas. Let's start, though, on the top there. Florida Mutineers, OpTic Texas. Unfortunately, all these games were late, and unfortunately, I was busy, so I didn't get a chance to watch basically any of the matches, other than, like I said, the LA Thieves OpTic match. I think I caught the last 3 games, which was sweet. But that's where are they? Above my head here. OpTic. They fall. Top 6. Florida Mutineers, though, do walk away in the game 4. 3-1 victory for the Mutineers. They move on to round number 4. Heartbreaking loss for OpTic. You know, they get 3-0 swept in the first round versus Seattle. Seattle, always a tough team to beat. They beat Rocker, who hasn't really put it together this year so far. They reverse sweep Thieves, which, given their rank in the standings as 12th, you don't think too much of it. But also, I had this team in the top 4 preseason. So they had a really good stage 1, stage 2. They just haven't put it together quite yet. But, you know, it's tough. But, hey, OpTic, come back, right? They're still in a really good spot, obviously. Got a lot of things to work on and a lot of things to come back with. Every good winner needs a reality check. Every good winner needs to know how to lose. And I'm hoping OpTic recover from this, come back. I guess we have a whole, mid-season break for, a month or something like that. Then qualifiers start for Stage 3. And then we have Stage 3 Major. Then we have Stage 4 qualifiers, Stage 4 Major. And then I think we have champs after that, if I remember correctly. But, like I said, Florida does move on. OpTic now out of the tournament. As we drop down to that round 3 second matchup, we have the Seattle Surge versus the LA Guerrillas. And this one, LA Guerrillas, staying strong, looking great. Good and great at the same time. Guerrillas looking good, looking great as they move on to face off against Florida in our next matchup. This one for top 3. The winner of this matchup gets top 3. So we have Florida, we have LA Guerrillas. This one, though, LA Guerrillas are staying strong. Now, I don't even think I mentioned it yet. Guerrillas are playing with a substitute, right? Gunless not in this weekend. I didn't mention it for Faze either. Simp is in for this tournament, but in Gorilla's case, Gunless not in. So they're playing with Spart, their substitute. Didn't really look too good in qualifiers, but he came to play in the major tournament. But who's going to come out, though, in round number 4 of the elimination bracket? Well, LA Gorillas are continuing the run. So this team faced, I think it's 9 versus 12, 10 versus 11. So Gorillas 11th, I believe. They move on to top 3. They beat Florida. Florida's out at top 4. Gorillas move on to top 3 in the elimination bracket final, awaiting the loser of our next matchup. But we have Atlanta Faze versus the Boston Breach. This one, Faze makes it look easy. 3-0 for Faze. They're back in a grand final, this time from the winner's bracket. They await the winner, though, of Boston versus the LA Gorillas. Can Gorillas do it? Can they continue this run? And they can. Game 5 victory. How many times have I said that? I guess that's the 3rd time. But LA Gorillas start in they start in winner's bracket round 1. So actually that's not. Ultra was in 11th. So I stand corrected. Gorillas actually started in the winner's bracket. So they were, let's see, and then 2-7, 3-6. So yeah, they start at 6th place, I believe. Get dropped down in winners round 1, and they've continued this run all the way in the elimination bracket final. They end up beating the Boston Breach in the Game 5 victory, setting up a grand finals of Atlanta Faze versus the LA Gorillas. Who's going to take this one home, right? Atlanta, obviously one of our best teams in the league, our reigning world champions, right up there with OpTic Texas, 1-2 easy. Right now, obviously, OpTic didn't have the greatest performances this tournament. They got at top 6. Faze is still in it with a chance to win and to get top 2, obviously. But what's going to happen? Grand finals time. LA Gorillas come out and beat Atlanta Faze in the final with the same scoreline we did in major number 1, 5-2. And this team wins the tournament. I'm not joking. It's on your screen. LA Gorillas win this tournament 5-2 against Faze. Are arguably one of the best teams in the league right now. And they lose. Atlanta Faze have been to both grand finals. One from the winner's bracket, one from the loser's bracket. And they're 0-2. Obviously, that's really good points, right? They have 3 wins on the tournament, and then they get to the grand finals. So placement points plus the wins, I believe you still get 10 points per win, and they're in, right? Gorillas, they get 50 points alone just by getting to the grand finals, and then they get the placement points on top of that plus winning. That's insane. So congrats to the LA Gorillas, the organization. It sucks to say it's not OpTic once again, but Hook, Gunless, I know he wasn't there, but he's probably still gonna get credit, even though he didn't play. Hook, Asim, Spart, and Slasher. I don't actually remember who their coaches are. I think Ricky's one of them. Oh, it's Ricky and Bevels, I believe, and isn't Saint there too? I don't remember their coaching staff, but congrats to you guys over there, LA Gorillas. Obviously, a great Cinderella run. No one expected that at all. After getting losing in winners bracket round 1, and then facing Ultra, London, Seattle, Florida, Boston, and then Faze. I don't know who else would have had you there, other than maybe your diehard fans, but damn, good games to the LA Gorillas. Congratulations once again. But on your screen is the final placements of the major, as we'll start at the top here. LA Gorillas take home number 1, get $200,000 as a team. Atlanta Faze get number 2, $120,000. Boston Breach in 3rd with $80K. 4th place, Florida Mutineers at $40K. OpTic Texas, 5th, 6th, along with Seattle, 5th, 6th. Both get $20,000. LA Thieves and London Royal Ravens, both 7th, 8th. They get $10,000 each. And then Minnesota, New York, both $0, placed 9th, 10th, and Paris Legion and Toronto Ultra 11th, 12th, 0 prize money. Man, that was an insane tournament. Absolutely insane. Again, congrats to LA. Good try to Faze. Obviously, it sucks for OpTic not being there. But here's the next thing. How do our standings look after Major 2 here? And they're on your screen now. So we do have a new number 1 team here. Atlanta Faze is up there by 15 points. Again, that's, 2 matches. That's, a good weekend. So it's obviously tough to see there. But obviously, OpTic's still up there. They still have 30 points on the next team. So really good. Obviously, still confident in the boys. No question about it. But Atlanta number 1, OpTic Texas number 2. We have London Royal Ravens at 3rd with 130 points. Boston Breach right behind them at 4th with 120 points. LA Gorillas, they still somehow are only in 5th place with 115 points, right behind 4th place. Then we have the LA Thieves, who obviously had a very tough weekend. A very tough stage, I should say. But they sit, what is that math? Is that almost 50 points, I believe that is, under 5th place. That's insane. But 70 points for them. 7th place, Florida Mutineers, 70 points in 7th place. 8th place, Seattle Surge with 70 points as well. Toronto moves up, I believe, with 60 points. 9th place for them. Minnesota Rocker, 50 points for them. 10th place. 11th place, New York Subliners have 40 points. And, of course, in last place, 12th, Paris Legion with 20 points. So it's crazy. The gap between first and last is 160 points, which is basically the whole number of our second place team OpTic's total points. With the exception of 5 points, but not the point. Again, congrats to the LA Gorillas organization. Absolutely Cinderella upset run. But that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. With all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.